Welcome to Journeys with Jason George, Episode 20, Skull Presentation Setup. The coolest thing about being a wildlife photographer is you never know who's going to show up and with what. Here's my buddy Jimmy. He showed up with his magazine, and we gave a little trade of our magazines that we recently released. But it was the other thing that was in his hand that was most interesting to me. I've never seen something like this. I wonder what it could be. Maybe it's a pool cue. I don't know about that. With the ripples in this cone shape, I have a feeling it's a narwhal tusk that his grandpa actually had from back in the olden days. And I never knew they were hollow on the inside. Normally I have to find my own antlers. So here was one. This is a deer antler found in April 2022. It's pretty cool because the other animals have already started eating it. But let's get to my presentation room and get set up for this antler skull presentation. So I laid out a yoga mat so that I could lay everything down nicely and neatly and organized. I brought out my caribou antlers, my deer antlers, my Highland cow, and I start to compare them. It'd be really cool to have a moose antler. Maybe one day I'll find one of those. But you can see these sheds here. They've actually been eaten fairly decently from probably some kind of squirrel or porcupine. And here's the Highland cow. Didn't expect it to be open like that. And the best place to find bones and skulls is an owl pellet. Just have to clean them after the fact. So, unfortunately, sometimes nature gets the best of animals. And this is actually a deer skull with an antler that's being chewed apart by the squirrels. It becomes food for other animals. You can see the other antler. Ooh, maybe it got hit by this tree. And now we start laying out our skulls. I have a small deer skull, a fairly big deer skull, I've got a moose skull, and a Highland cow skull. So this is that deer skull that we found under the tree. And it can definitely see the chew marks from the animals that have been eating it. But the coolest thing to me is that there was actually a split in this antler. That's interesting. I wonder if that tree actually fell and hit it. Oh, here's my favorite, or one of my favorites, the Highland cow. Yeah, it's old. Unfortunately, it has 3 bullet holes because it was sick. And then we have my moose skull. Oh, this is a cool story. Ask me about it someday. And the backside of the skulls. So this is the moose skull. Here's the Highland cow skull. You can see that most skulls seem to be sort of similar. Here's the deer skull. But let's take a closer look at this Highland cow. Oh, I love the natural aging from it being left outside for decades. It's really cool. The only negative thing is that there's 3 bullet holes. They missed on the first and the second didn't go in, so they had to do it a third time. Well, let's put my skulls back up. Hey Bones, how's it going? And, if we look closely, we can see this dinosaur footprint. This was actually donated to me by a man that I didn't know, because he loves what I'm doing to try to educate people about wildlife and just loving and appreciating nature more. Here's a stone collection that a different person donated to me. And because of that, I let people visit this room for free. And let's put back the big skulls. The Highland cow is a little bit tougher, and the moose because they're a little bit heavier than those deer skulls. In between those red fox pictures, you can actually see a horse skull that's actually been painted by Jimmy. And in this display cabinet, you can see a whole bunch of different skulls. Oh, there's some cool things in here. We should take a closer look at maybe some of these things, because there's a lot of skulls in this display case. Most of them have actually been donated to me. That's actually part of the reason I built this room, to keep all my skulls. But let's lay out all my skulls. And we're going to use a golf ball so that we can understand the size difference in them. Wow, there's a lot of different skulls there. Have you ever found a skull in the wild? What about an antler? Oh, we even have some deer hooves and moose hooves. Let's take an even closer look at these individually. And some people use them for art. Jimmy has used the horse jaw for his art. The size difference between those two hooves is crazy. Can you guess what skulls these are? Or what animals they could be? I have a whole different variety and range of them. I'm trying to grow it, but the ones in this room are my favorites in my collection. So this is one that I found. I'm not sure what animal it is. I know what animal this one is. I've made a video of this one eating wood. It's a famous Canadian animal. It's got big teeth, loves wood, it can swim, it's got a big flat tail. Yep, you're right. It's a beaver. If you've watched episode 13, 14, and 15, you'll see the beaver, and you'll be able to go underwater with the beaver and inside the lodge with the beaver, and you can learn quite a bit about this beautiful creature. But its skull is actually really cool too. This one's a coyote, and then the smaller one's a fox. You can see the resemblance between the two of them. Here you can see the raccoon, a lynx, and a possum. The lynx one has a similar skull to a cat, but the possum and the raccoon skulls are fairly similar, and their jawbones. All jawbones seem to be similar. Yep, we also have a crocodile, and maybe one of the most dangerous animals in this collection, the black bear. This was an old black bear. Oh, look at the size of those teeth. Man, I wonder how big this bear actually was. I've seen a few black bears in my day. Have you? Here's an animal maybe most of you have seen. A turtle. But have you ever seen inside a turtle? Yeah, there's a turtle skull. And here is a snapping turtle laying some eggs right by the road. I hope that they survive. Until next time, stay safe, have fun, and enjoy the wildlife.